Ryan. Okay. Welcome. Hope everybody's enjoying the summer. Welcome to the Marlboro Township Board of Education regular meeting, July 26, 2022, 7 p.m. at Marlboro Memorial Middle School. Good evening, Vin.
Good evening, everybody.
Can you please call to order, please?
Sure. Roll call vote. Mrs. Amster?
Here.
Mrs. Branch?
Here.
Mr. Petruno? Ms. Piernick?
Here.
Mrs. Rosado?
Here.
Mrs. Shrem? Mrs. Salaci?
Here.
Mrs. Trefasi? And Dr. Heller?
Here. I'm now going to read the Sunshine Law. Be advised that this meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, Sunshine Law, and that the adequate notice of the date, time, and the agenda has been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the news transcript and has been posted and filed with the Marlboro Township Clerk. Today, copies have been sent to each district school and other area newspapers in accordance with the law. I am going to read in full. I'm not going to read in full, but I will bring to your attention to the statement of videotaping a public portion of Board of Education meetings, public comment statement, no smoking or vaping on school grounds. Can everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to read the positive quote. In fact, I'm going to read it twice because I thought it was pretty good. Wasting brain power ruminating about things you can't control drains mental energy quickly. The more you think about problems you can't solve, the less energy you'll have left over for more productive endeavors. Amy Morin. So again, wasting brain power, ruminating about things you can't control drains mental energy quickly. The more you think about problems you can't solve, the less energy you'll have left over for more productive endeavors. I also put on your agenda, and I thought this would be nice, a nice little twist here. I put a brain teaser on there, and I will allow the audience, I guess the members too, if you want to scream out or let me know what the number 8,549,176,320 mean. Why is it unique? No, keep on going. Take your time. It hurt a lot of people's heads, especially mine. Yeah, it's right on here, the paper, if someone wants to share it. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, she was right? Oh, she was? Okay. Yeah, one's for a correct answer, right? Mike disagrees. What do we got, ladies and gentlemen? I know you are. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to hurt any more brains because my brain is hurting. If you take the number 8, it becomes 8. So E. 5 is 5 Fi. 4 is FO. So it's all in alphabetical order. Everything's in alphabetical. Okay, it's alphabetical order. The numbers are listed in alphabetical order. So 8 is 8 for E, F, F-O, N, O, S-E. I could do it visually. Do you want to look at it?
No,
okay. Yeah. That's okay. Am I good? Was that okay? Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. I thought that would help. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll move forward, and yeah, I'm sorry. So we're going to go to announcements. Dr. Hibbs, can you please give a shout out to Scope and use congrats to one of our people that are sitting alongside us?
So in the agenda,
Hey, Ben?
Yes.
Would you mind making the correction for scope? You okay with that?
Yes, absolutely. So there is a correction to scope. So the proceeds were not from the Walk for Change that was held in the 21-22 school year. So the funds actually came from past scope fundraisers. The Walk for Change funds were actually donated to the MEF to use for special education grants.
Yeah. And massive thank you to Scope for frozen treats for those of you that didn't see, online or were at the event. We had the Good Humor truck come. It was actually a really amazing older truck, and there was treats for staff and students at both the Abbott Early Learning Center and Marlboro Middle School. So special thank you to Scope. That was such a very nice and caring thing to do for the kids. Thank you so much.
And did you want to talk about a certain individual?
Certainly.
Talk about
Oh, you mean
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
going?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay.
I thought you were in
Yeah,
reference to
yeah.
Scope.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I'm
That's
gonna
okay.
keep going down.
Sorry.
In the agenda, I want to recognize Vin in the business office. So what they did was they have their certificate of excellency for, I don't even know what year in a row this is, but for excellent financial reporting. So Vin and staff, great job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And all the hard work goes to my staff every day, so just wanted a special shout out for them as well.
You're awesome too, Vin.
Thank you for that. Vin, motor vehicle abstract, please.
Sure, all abstracts were run and all have privileges in good standing.
Thank you, Vin. We're going to go to public comments, folks. Those who wish to speak should state their full name and place of residence. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Please use the timer in front to be mindful of your time. Members of the public should be respectful and avoid back and forth or debate with administration, professionals, or board members responding to the inquiry or comment. Again, no back and forth. Be respectful and civil. School board members and administration will withhold comment until after public comments. Vin?
So I have no one on the paper list, but I'm trying to get up the electronic sheet. Did anyone sign up for the electronic sheet to speak? Okay, then I have none at this time.
Okay, thank you, Vin. Administrators and/or board members will respond afterwards. If I'd like to make a motion to close public comments, do I have a second?
Second.
Christina, any discussion, please? I see none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All of those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Would anyone from the board or administration like to make any comments from the public? No? I see none, so we're going to move on. Dr. Hibbs, communication, please. Okay, thank you. Dr. Hibbs, harassment, intimidation, bullying, HIB report for June 17th to July 20th, 2022, please.
Yes, sir. That time frame had 0 incidents.
Thank you. Meeting dates, Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022, regular meeting. Jen, can you please read approval of minutes?
Approval of minutes. Be it resolved that the minutes of the following meeting are be approved as submitted.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
That's Jess. Any discussion, please? I see none. Vin, roll call, please.
Sure. Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno? Ms. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
And Dr. Heller?
Yes. Vin, Secretary Business report, please.
Yep, so this is the submission of the Board Secretary's monthly certification for the month ending June 30th, 2022.
I don't know. Did you read 1 and 2?
No, you'd have to go back and read number 2 as well.
Okay. It's all good.
All right. Approval of minutes resolutions. 1, approval of minutes. 2, release of executive session minutes.
I so.
Move.
Okay. Do I have a second? Christina, any discussion? I see none. Roll call.
Mrs.
What a
Amster?
day.
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno? Ms. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
And Dr. Heller?
Yes. Then again, if you Secretary Business report, please.
Yep, so this is just the board secretary certification for the month ending June 30th.
Thank you. VIN monthly certification, please.
And this is the submission of the payroll certification in the amount of $6,578,698, which includes TPAF Social Security as well.
Thank you, Vin. Vin payroll certification, please.
No, that was.
Oh, you
yeah,
did that?
just-
You did it all combined? Sorry, my bad. I'm reading. Okay. We are going to discuss the 2022-23 school year Board of Education goals. I'm going to start the discussion, but first let me read this.
We have the committee reports on the.
Yeah, I'm
Committee-
doing that after.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, no, that's fine. It was just in the thing that
I
way.
figured that, yeah. It's all good, okay. Okay, so we're going to discuss the 2022-23 school year board education goals. I'm unaware, actually, if this had been done since being on the board, but this would be a time for the year where we would discuss and set up the upcoming 2022-23 Board of Education goals. For some background, our Board of Education goals should address the procedures and process, and board goals are influenced by the NJSBA. So as I had sent you an email on Friday, both Tricia and I met with the administration to create a first draft of possible goals. Both Tricia and I felt that the 2021-22 goals express more of a mission statement style versus the traditional vision of what people think of as goals. Furthermore, the proposed goals are more detailed as to how for increased accountability. For references, I listed the 2021-22 goals first, which I provided to you guys, and then the possible 22-23 goals, so you may compare and contrast and be able to ask anyone, to examine those. I would ask you to examine those goals and think of any possible changes or additions. Also, if you have any separate board goals, I asked you to consider to reach out to me. I didn't hear from anybody, but that doesn't mean anybody hasn't changed their mind. And our goals should be finalized and voted upon at August meeting. So as I mentioned to everyone, or I showed everyone, let's start with goal one. So goal one last year, the goal for last year was the approved 21-22, wait, hold on, it's right here. So you can compare and contrast. Everybody on the board has those. The MTPS Board of Education will sustain a positive culture while supporting the mental health needs of the students and the staff. So what we came up with, and again, this could be changed, this is not in stone, the possible district culture and climate goal would be MTPS Board of Education places a strong emphasis on the mental health and wellness of our students, staff, and the community at large. In order to achieve this goal, MTPS will devise a process to ensure students are provided with experiences and touch points throughout the academic year. We have budgeted the hiring of additional mental health staff members that will assist in us meeting this goal. Specifically, students will have access to school counselors in addition to school psychologists at the middle school level and school social workers at the elementary school level. Mental health staff will provide check-ins with students, teach classroom lessons, assist with the implementation of the Lifeline suicide prevention lessons, offer groups to support students' needs, and to provide support and resources to parents. So, does anybody have any questions, comments with regards to the goals for the 2022-23? As I said, you can compare it from last year. Goal one. Yeah. Good. The second goal, which was approved in 2021-22, is called Student Achievement. There are 2 bullet points. MTPS Board of Education will advance learning environments that emphasize meaningful and personalized learning student empowerment, and student growth. The MTPS Board of Education will work to ensure that the district has robust and well-developed curricula. That was last year. A possible change to that would be student achievement, which would read as following. The MTPS Board of Education will support and advance learning environments that emphasize meaningful and personalized learning, student empowerment, and student growth in both general education and special education classrooms. In order to achieve this goal, the MTPS Board of Education will work to ensure that the district has robust and well-developed curricula for all students. In addition, the MTPS Board of Education supports the meaningful use of data-driven instruction for all students by utilizing the district's process to teach, assess, and remediate. MTPS staff will communicate standards based on strengths and weaknesses to both students and parents and guardians. Anybody have any questions or would like to add? Okay. The approved 2021-22 third goal was infrastructure. The MTPS Board of Education will continue to budget efficiency and responsibility in order to address the current and future capital and maintenance needs of the district. Specifically, MTPS will finish the current roofing plan and implement an air conditioning plan. Now, to move forward for this upcoming school year, the MTPS Board of Education will continue to budget efficiently and responsibly in order to address the current and future capital and maintenance needs of the district. Specifically, MTPS Board of Education will continue to create a surplus in the district reserve accounts while navigating the challenges of state aid reductions. This careful planning will allow the district to continue with the plan of installing HVAC in the 3 remaining elementary schools, as well as the other investments in future infrastructure needs. Again, does anybody have any questions or comments they would like to add? Goal 4, community interaction. Last year, the MTPS Board of Education will continue to utilize available communication skill tools to promote noteworthy accomplishments of students and staff of the district. The proposed goal for this year would be MTPS Board of Education will continue to utilize available communication tools to promote noteworthy accomplishments of the students and staff of the district and encourage parental involvement. In order to achieve this goal, district personnel will promote accomplishments through various opportunities, including but not limited to the MTPS board briefs, email notifications, text notifications, newsletters, webinars, social media, etc. The MTPS Communications Committee will seek to improve community interaction by investigating new/innovative ways to connect with the community. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Yep.
So I love the revisions that you worked on with the board goals because I feel they're very specific now and can be measured. And I know that, Mr. Balone and I were talking about holding the webinar for parents in regards to the curriculum changes, and I love that as well. Is there a way in order to keep increasing community engagement to circle back to that town hall that we've been talking about for the last couple of months and somehow get that on the table?
We could discuss it. What is everybody's thoughts about that? I'm sorry. What is everybody's thoughts about that? So are you looking to suggest and word it in a way that we definitely have to do this, or are you saying that we're open to conversation about having it? Like, how would you verbalize it?
We've been talking about it
Right.
a couple of times,
Yeah, we have.
and we never really came back to revisit that and see how we could work that in, even quarterly or, via semester, just to allow the community to have that back and forth time with us in obviously a way that is respectful to everyone's time, but allow that engagement and that positive bridge to be formed. So that it's not, during our board meetings when we have business that we have to conduct, and there can be a more natural conversation that happens with the community.
May I ask, has the communication committee ever discussed it? I don't know who's on
I'm
it.
on communications.
Yeah, did you ever discuss it?
It was briefly talked about.
Okay.
We do have another communications committee meeting on August 25th.
Okay.
Okay,
We can certainly add it to the agenda.
okay,
Is that fair?
that's fair.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have something.
Yes, please.
So to go along with parent interaction for the community, what about parent academies for school-specific things or special, like something that was brought up in special ed committee was a parent academy for, you know, certain populations, like middle school students and perhaps, you know, like seeing at-risk signs of, for your kids. It would be parent academies where parents would be invited, and it could be both in person and or virtual, whatever parents prefer, or it could be recorded and live stream. But parent academies, basically, like, let's say a school has a need for, I don't know, social skills. How can you help your child? Or let's say there's a, you know, the CAP program, and parents want to find out what's being taught to the students when CAP comes in. CAP program there. Just parent academies for parents to know what's going on.
I love it. I mean, what does anybody else think? Yeah? So if you don't mind, can you discuss that?
Yep.
Those 2 points, and then bring it back? How does that work for revisions?
You don't need to revise that, right? So we have in the goal already, we're using technology, we're using these things.
Okay.
These are just 2 ways that we would
Okay,
meet the goal,
I-
right? So
yeah.
the discussion that we're having now about these 2 ideas would be how to meet that goal, and the administration and the committee has heard that, and now they're gonna take that back, talk about it, and then implement it.
Okay, I
That's all
appreciate
you
it.
need to do.
I
You don't need
appreciate
to
it. Oh,
revise
thank
the
you.
goal.
Okay. So I'll,
That would just be at the end of the year, when you say, did we meet this goal? We could say, we met it, we had a parent academy, we had two nights, you know, with parents and that kind of thing. About the curriculum, so yes, we met the goal, that's all you would need.
Okay.
to
I
do.
know-
The parent academy doesn't have to be district specific. It could be school specific.
Right, those are all just
Yeah.
ideas and
Yeah.
ways you
But
would
it-
engage the community, and that would be meeting the goal at the end.
Right, it's not to be.
so
be
if you're
supporting
gonna,
the
if
goal.
you're,
Right.
if you could really break it down and just figure out the logistics of it and figure out what's possible, what's not possible,
Sure.
and everything else. Who else is with the committee? 'Cause I don't have that.
Aldo and Trish.
Okay, so you guys just figure it out and go from
Did we
there.
set the date, didn't we?
I did yesterday.
Yeah,
I
you
said-
did, yeah.
Just to add that, it's not just that, right? So there could be things that come up during the year that you would want to add to that, and then you can say at the end, that is part of this, you know, parental engagement, and we've met that.
So we
part.
met that
So,
goal.
Right, so it's,
So we
it's
held,
an
so we're
evolving-
held accountable as a board.
Right, and it's an
Right.
evolving thing. that
Okay,
goes on.
perfect, beautiful. Okay, everybody else good? Okay, and finally, goal 5, which is policy development. The MTPS Board of Education will discuss, revise, and recommend adoption of district policies that are consistent with both federal and state laws and that are in compliance with the state monitoring standards. The possible goal for goal 5, still policy development, would be MTPS Board of Education will discuss, revise, and recommend adoption of district policies that are consistent with both federal and state laws and that are in compliance with the state monitoring standards. In order to achieve this goal, the MTPS Board of Education will continue to discuss policy changes with the policy committee and will ensure that discussions are held with all board members at public meetings via first and second readings. We will ensure that all policies are up to date and relevant. Any comments with that? No? Okay. Finally, the approved 2021-22 goal, there was a goal 6, and it was called MTPS Road Forward Plan for 2021-22. And the MTP and what it stated was MTPS Board of Education will revise any necessary and execute the MTPS Road Forward Plan for the 2021-22 school year. We felt that this goal was not appropriate for the 2023 goals, so we decided to take that out. But again, if someone feels we need to add it, if there's anything else, please, this is the time to discuss. Okay, so what goes? Nobody. So those we'll do it in August.
Right, so the goals, as you've read them out, and
Yeah.
everyone seems to be in agreement with, they'll be on the agenda in August for
Okay.
approval.
Thank you. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for that. We are going to now go to committee reports. Anything from building, grounds, and beautification, anybody?
Nope, we are in the process of setting up a meeting, most likely going to be the first week of August.
First week of August, thank you. Jess, communication, if you can elaborate on that again?
We do have an upcoming meeting mid to end of August
Okay.
set up, and the 2 issues that we discussed before will be added to the agenda.
Appreciate that very much. Christina, curriculum, please?
Sorry. Yes, the committee will be meeting on August 15th to discuss the revision of the curriculum as per our last conversation. Mr. Ballone has been working on the revision, specifically the health and family life curriculum standards over the summer, and he will present the revisions to the committee and then board for approval after we convene our next meeting on August 15th. And that after that point, he'll be sharing the curriculum guides and the drafts prior to our August 23rd regular board meeting. I know that this was like a hot topic issue for many parents, but as Mr. Ballone and Dr. Hibbs had stated that they would delete the family life curriculum, it's already been omitted and taken off of the MTPS website. And so we're looking forward to that, as well as a parent workshop to review the curriculum and content of the curriculum on August 24th via a webinar. Is there anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think you covered everything. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Christina. Dr. Hibbs or Jen or someone, you want to discuss policy?
Policy, we had our meeting on the 21st, and we're going over our first read tonight. And then the final will be in August, and we can approve that in August.
Yep. Thank you. Jen, safety, security, and counseling?
So we are meeting on August 16th, and then I will update you all on that.
Thank you very much. Kathleen, special education?
The committee met on July 25th. ESY highlights include the students were grouped off of projected placement for the fall. Milo robots are being used to teach SEL. It's either in a group setting or one-to-one. Right now, they're using in the demo mode for the summer. In the fall, they will be using individual student needs, and they come with embedded lessons. The Scope ice cream truck visited. The cost was $810. There were spirit days and water play on a class-by-class basis. The water play was not for everyone. It was up to the classes if they wanted to go. Evaluations are happening. August 2021, last year, there were 80 transfers, and just in August alone, so they're expecting in August might be busy as well. New hires, CST, there's a BCBA that came from Old Bridge, it's going to be in Defino mainly, and a social worker that's coming from Tinton Falls, that will be in Asher. Also, not special ed, but also a new hire was a gen ed social worker, and there are some IAs that are being hired as well. 2 teachers are getting Wilson certified, which takes 1 to 2 years. Fall updates, there is some movement within district regarding CST. There's going to be PD days, one specifically for special education. The Milo robots again are at Defino and Robertsville in the fall, and that's about it.
Thank you very much. Hold on. Jen, if you don't mind, could you read again? Sorry, I wasn't prepared. Can you please read financial and business operation matters?
What about
Organization matters. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Same page, it's the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Organization matters. The superintendent of schools submits the following resolution for approval. 1, Title IX coordinator. I so move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
That's Trish. Do I have any discussion? No, yes? No? Okay. I do not see any. Vin, roll call, please.
Sure. Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno? Ms. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
And Dr. Heller?
Yes. Kathleen, can you please read financial and business operation matters?
Financial and business operation
And
matters.
and I believe you don't have to read them
Right,
all.
we're doing 1
remember?
to 29.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval, numbers 1 to 29. I so move.
Thank you, Kathleen. Do I have a second? Kathleen? Not Kathleen.
Christina.
Christina, thank you. It's one of those. Any discussion? Yes, Kathleen.
On question number 7, the $50,000, not to exceed $50,000, is that for students or staff, the furniture?
That is for classroom furniture, so that is for mostly desks.
Okay. Number 10, I have two more questions. Why is the bid being rejected?
Came over budget, so we budgeted 10,000 and the lowest bid was about 38,000, so we would have to reject
And number
it.
26, the extraordinary aid funds, what are we doing with that money? Where is it going?
So there was no excess that was given to us that was budgeted, so that's just going strictly to revenue.
To special education or for anywhere?
Well, we budgeted in the regular budget for 22-23 in the revenue column, so that actually has to just hit the revenue on the balance sheet. Usually when we have excess, so normally if we were to budget 350 like last year, we got over 400, the excess would go back to special education.
Anybody else have any other questions? I see none. Vin, roll call, please.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno? Ms. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
And Dr. Heller?
Yes. Aldo, can you please read curriculum matters, please?
The superintendent, you said curriculum matters? Did you say curriculum? or
Yes.
Yes.
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolution for approval. Adoption of state-approved teacher and principal evaluation instruments. Also move.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Jen, any discussion, ladies and gentlemen? I see none. Vin, roll call, please.
Sure. Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Ms. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
Yes.
And Dr. Heller?
I'm sorry. I was
Dr.
just-
Heller?
uh,
Roll call?
Yes, yes, the answer is yes. I read that, I'm good. But I was discussing something about just helping out everybody for the future with the agenda to put the numbers in parentheses, so it just helps out. Yeah, sorry about that. But Trish, can you please read personnel matters, please?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval.
23.
Thank you. 1 through 20. Thank you on the assess. 1 through 23. I so move.
Excellent. Do I have a second? Kathleen, any discussion, please? I see none. Vinnie, roll call, please.
Mr. Petruno?
Yes.
Ms. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
And Dr. Heller?
Yes. Mr. Balone, do you have any letters to read?
We don't,
We
do
don't?
not.
Okay, thank you. Jess, can you please read policy development and community relations matters?
Sure. The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, first readings. 2, job descriptions. I so move.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Christina, any discussion, please? Yes, Christina?
We're discussing the policies now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I had a question about policy 2415.05, where it says student surveys, analysis, evaluations, examinations, testing, or treatment. So I was kind of confused about the verbiage of this policy. Does this, and maybe someone can clarify, does this policy revision in any way remove the parent from knowing any pertinent information about their child who's a minor in any situation regarding surveys of the above mentioned?
This was actually, I'm glad you brought this up. 'Cause I questioned this
Oh, okay.
policy, and then it was explained to me in further detail what it was about.
I would love to hear it.
Yeah, Eric, can you?
Yeah,
Please.
so I'm going to go to the agenda, and I'm going to read the notes out
Christina,
loud.
can you repeat which policy
the
you're
first
referring
one.
to?
24, it's the first one, 2415.05?
So it's student surveys, analysis, evaluations, examinations, testing, or treatment. So the current policy for the public is being revised to address the issue of a school district administering a survey, analysis, evaluation, examination, testing, or treatment funded in whole or in part by a program of the United States Department of Education. So it's being rewritten to provide additional details regarding the requirements outlined in federal code. So if we dig into the working doc and take a look at the actual policy. So, and everyone had access to the working doc because it was embedded right in there. So it starts out by talking about the PPRA, which is the Protection of Pupil Rights Amendment, and that applies to school districts that receive funding from the United States Department of Education. It's the US DOE. So the PPRA requires written consent from parents or the emancipated student the opportunity to opt out of participation in a survey, analysis, evaluation, examination, testing, or treatment funded in whole or in part by a program of the United States Department of Education that concerns one or more of the outlined areas in the policy. And they go on to define instructional materials, what invasive physical examination is, prior consent, psychiatric or psychological examination, and it goes all the way down. So if you look at this, it talks about then the parents and or emancipated rights. The district shall provide reasonable access to instructional material within a period of time if there is a request from parents. All instructional materials, including teachers' manuals, films, tapes, or other supplementary instructional material, which will be used in connection with any survey, analysis, or evaluation, shall be available for inspection by the parents or guardians. So I'm going to keep going through, but Christina, this actually, it delineates the supports for parents instead of removing things for parents.
Okay.
All the way through.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you want me to keep going through? Or is that
I had,
okay. I can keep, I guess my question is, do you want me to
no,
keep-
you don't have to read all of them.
Okay.
That was my specific question.
Not removing the rights of parents.
Should I go to the next question I had on policy, or did someone else have something else?
Sure.
Okay. 3233, which is political activities. So the policy revision is just to state that teachers or staff members can campaign or hand out material regarding a political campaign, etc. Correct?
Let me pull it up. Specific changes to this policy. So it had minor language changes. It changed premises to school grounds. That was consistent all the way through. That was number 4. In accordance with NJSA 18A, it changed the word certificated to teaching. Inserts some minor language, teaching staff members. Takes out chosen freeholders, adds county commissioners. Teaching staff is changed all the way through policy. Yeah, there was only small language changes to this. It's the same current policy with just very small language changes.
So does the provision of the policy, it said it does not apply to the discussion and study of politics and political issues appropriate to the curriculum, the conduct of student elections, or the conduct of employee representative elections. Does that mean that sexual orientation or gender discussions are allowed since it's technically part of the curriculum?
Well, I think this is, when you look at this policy, the Board of Education recognizes and encourages the rights of all citizens, including teaching staff members, to engage in a political activity. However, the board prohibits the use of school grounds and school time for partisan political purposes. So Joe, your take, this policy is not about.
This policy has nothing to do with that. There's another policy called controversial subjects that would deal with that, and it's really up to the administration to say, don't do that.
Okay.
That's
It's really about like politics and
This is-
campaigning.
yeah, correct.
Yep.
This is if a teacher was running for office. they
Correct.
can't vote or something
Yeah.
like
I
that.
got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and just to clarify, one of the questions that, when we talk about the revisions to the health curriculum, which will come, we are scripting and clearly delineating with the option of a parent opt-out of those discussions that will not happen around that process.
Yes. Two more questions, I'm sorry.
No worries.
6311,
Okay.
which is,
One sec.
Contracts for goods or services funded by federal grants.
Thanks, on the wheel. Yep.
yeah, I was just wondering why we're changing the word from review to access.
Good question. So I'll read you my notes, and then I'll go to the policy. This current policy is being revised. The CAFR now requires the BOE to refer to the Federal System for Award Management, SAM, to search for debarred or suspended vendors for contracts providing goods or services to the school district to be funded by a federal grant. So let me just go into, can someone read me that policy number again? Six what?
6311.
Thank you. You can search it in the search box. Okay.
And I actually remember this one. 'Cause this
Yeah, because I was wondering, like, does that mean you don't have to review to see if a vendor is in good standing if we're just accessing their report? Like, I didn't know.
So
understand.
what was the word again, Christina, that you were?
It was changing from review
Mhm.
to access.
Okay, so I'm just going to look at the changes. So it adds it adds in specific information from CFR, which is the CAFR, right, Ben?
Yes.
Adds in the system for award management. Okay. The specific place you're looking in is the school business administrator, board secretary, upon opening of bids or upon receipt of proposals for goods or services to be funded by a federal grant shall access the SAM. So there's a system now, Vin, right, that you have to access as opposed to just reviewing.
We use SAM.gov to get a DUNS number, a page number, and that's the only way, if we have a number in good standing, we can receive federal grant and federal awards. They have a directory on there as well that you have to check to make sure that the vendors that are dealing with the federal government are in good standing as well.
So reviewing and accessing, and what's the
They're just
purpose of changing the word? I'm just wondering.
Well, you just have to guarantee yourself access. Anybody can review a document, but it has to be up to date. So that's why they want you to actually access the system and see if it's up to date and current.
And if I was not, I mean, it was discussed during the policy committee that it's almost like where there's a teacher who bounces around and they have, they're dubious in what they've done previously.
Right, because
So I'm sorry.
you have to review, you have to update that number each year, like we have to renew it each year. So if anybody can put a number on their bid or their procurement documents, doesn't mean it's valid. You have to access the system to
Understood.
see if it's
Okay.
up to date.
That's the access.
So it's
That
an
makes
extra step
The
to make
SAM
it,
system.
Yeah,
to make sure it's accurate.
It protects.
Okay, that's great. Two more. 8420, which is emergency and crisis situations. I know that it's stated in there that you have up to 60 days to train new staff in these emergency procedures, and I was just wondering why it's not immediate. Like if a person gets hired, wouldn't you want them to know our protocols for emergency drills right away and not wait 2 months?
Sure. I'll talk about why it's being revised in the summary, and I'll go to it. So this one's being revised to align with the updated statutes by inserting language provided in code regarding fire and school security drills. It also removes a reference to New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness because many school districts use many different resources outside of that. In addition, it provides districts the ability to permit emergency personnel access to buildings and grounds for school security drills that are scheduled outside of school hours and during such times when students are not present. Because a lot of times the police officers or the municipalities will want to actually do deeper drills without children because we're not allowed to do anything that would frighten the child. So when they want to do different trainings, this policy allows that. So let me go back into that. Somebody give it to me again. 8 what?
8420.
Thank you. 8420. Okay.
I just want
Going, Joe?
to
Yeah, go,
just
go.
chime
I'll
in
pull it
real
up.
quick. The 60 days comes right out of the administrative code, and it just mirrors what the code says. So the law says 60 days. Doesn't mean we can't give it earlier.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that the law is stating that. I'm just thinking, as a teacher myself, I know like there were new teachers to my building and within the first 2 weeks we have a drill. If they don't know what's going on, it's kind of hard for them to show the students the appropriate way to act on a bus drill or in a fire drill. What staircase should we be using if there's a fire? So I was just thinking from that lens, making it more a shorter time, like to train new staff on these drills.
And We might do that.
Well, yeah, well,
I don't
Eric
know.
can address that, because I know actually. Oh.
Don't we have like staff coming in over the summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well, it
we,
says up
so
to,
we,
it
we do
doesn't seem
train
wait.
way sooner than 60, but I would have zero problems if you would like us to go back and figure out where we could put a line that says we will train sooner than that and make an intelligent sentence out of that. That's not a problem. You know, we train, you know, when teachers are hired, they go through a security training. You know, every substitute is going to go through security training. So I have no problems going back through. So would it be acceptable to put another line in this policy and then just put it on as a second read after you see
Yes.
it?
That would be
Please.
great.
You got it. Absolutely not a problem.
But just to be clear, we're not
We're doing
waiting
this.
60 days.
No, I'm not-
It's
I'm
just
not
up to.
saying that
No,
it is. I
but
know
just,
that-
in case there's any confusion, we're not waiting 60 days to train, but the statute and the law gives up to
gives that
60
wiggle
days.
room.
But we're going to add something that takes that,
Yeah.
makes that a lesser time. Is that what you're saying, Dr. Hibbs?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
perfect. Thank
essentially,
you.
that's our practice. That's our practice anyway. We'll put a line in here that will, I agree. I don't want anyone to read it and think that we have 59 days to let someone not be trained. That's
Right.
not what we do. We train upon hire. That's in all aspects.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Great thought.
Okay, here's my last one, I promise. 9560, so I do it 6 in the morning. Just to confirm I read it correctly, this was the administration of school surveys. It did say administration needs parental consent to administer a survey. Is that correct?
Let me go to it. Go through it top to bottom. Make sure I can speak intelligently. Not 9320. You talking about 9560,
9560.
right? Yeah. So this one's being revised due to code changes. The new statute allows school districts to administer an anonymous, voluntary survey, assessment, analysis, or evaluation concerning student health only if prior written notification has been provided to parents. The law and revisions include a process for notification to parents and an outline of the topics that may be asked. So no survey can be given that asks these types of things without parents receiving absolute notification. Sure.
Can't hear you.
Sorry. Sometimes like counselors give out surveys about school environment, how they feel, how they relate to their peers. Are they not allowed to give that out without
Hold on.
parent consent? Like,
Yep.
like school-based?
Let me go down here, and I'm going to go to it. Okay. Okay, so run through the strike-throughs. Okay, so I'm going to go through this policy. The Board of Education believes the administration of school surveys may be necessary and valuable to the educational program in the school district. The board recognizes certain student information is personal and some students or parents may not want this information shared with the school district. Therefore, the board shall ensure school surveys are administered in accordance with NJSA 18A 36-34 code and 18A 36-34.1 in this policy. A, school surveys certain parental consent required before administration unless the school district receives prior written informed consent from a student's parent and provides for a copy of the document to be available for viewing at convenient locations and time periods. The school district shall not administer to a student any academic or non-academic survey, assessment, analysis, or evaluation which reveals information concerning. We have political affiliations, sexual behavior and attitudes, Social Security number. That was the 3 that are listed. No, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yep. Political affiliations and then sexual behavior and attitudes. So there
So
are.
if it's only school-based, like saying, how comfortable do you feel going to see a trusted adult, that's,
Yeah.
you don't need parent
No,
permission
so
for
when
that.
you have political affiliations, they actually, they give a little descriptor in the policy. Mental and psychological problems potentially embarrassing to the student and or the student's family, so that wouldn't occur there. And then under sexual behaviors and attitudes, illegal, antisocial, self-incriminating, and demeaning behavior, critical appraisals of other individuals with whom a respondent has a close family relationship, legally recognized privileged or analogous relationships such as lawyers, physicians, and ministers, income other than that required by law to determine eligibility for participation in the program or for receiving financial assistance, social security number, so nothing in there
Right.
would be like a wellness check of how are you feeling today, and that would impede on a school counselor's
That's-
job
okay.
of really helping meet the needs of children.
Thank you.
That's safety and security, in my opinion. No, am I wrong?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much.
I just think it's,
I think
I
it's
was just curious,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. So parents always have to have access to everything that we do. We have to give written notice. To be honest, this one and the other one, really, we haven't done surveys that look like this. These are just mandated policies.
I was just gonna say, the law changed, there's a new law about surveys, so we're putting these policies in place just to account for that law, but we really don't use it like it says. And to your question, those 9 items are what we are legally not allowed to add as students without parental consent, but a school-based environment, or even a survey by a teacher about, what movie have you seen or something like that.
Or climate,
Those are
yeah.
different, and they would not fall into this policy.
Yep.
Thank you.
Did I hit everything?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, you got it.
Anybody else? Okay, so, Vin, roll call, please.
So a roll call for policy. Mrs. Salachi?
Then before you call, I just want to make sure I have it right. The only thing that I had on policy then was 8420 to put the disclaimer that we train sooner than 60. That was the only thing we had here, right? Okay, sorry.
Sure, Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Ms. Pierna?
Yes.
And Dr. Heller?
Yes, so we're going to move on to organizational delegates. Kathleen, anything from Freehold Regional High School?
They met right after we met in June. Their last meeting was June 30th. There's a new AP at Marlboro. Jeanette Bruno has retired. The new AP comes from Freehold Township High School. She was the English supervisor, Jennifer Dillette. I actually met her for a job interview. She's very nice. She's going to love her at Marlboro. June 23rd was graduation. It did not rain. 2,608 students graduated. 90% are attending 2- or 4-year colleges. 20 are going into the military. 153 are going directly into the workforce. The 20 that are military, one of them actually was from ROTC, got accepted to the Annapolis Military Academy, so that was a huge accomplishment. The roof replacement at Marlboro High School is going to be delayed because of supply. It was supposed to happen in the fall, not happening. The roof at Marlboro High School. They're having a supply chain problem with insulation, so that's going to be pushed at the earliest. They're looking at spring 2023, but they don't even have a guarantee on that. So that's what I was sent, and I think the next meeting should be coming up, and I'll let you know in August about that.
Thank you so much. Christina, anything from Marlboro Township Alliance?
Nothing to report.
Thank you so much. Jen, anything from Marlboro County School Board Association?
No.
Thank you. Trish, anything from municipal government?
Yes, the old Marlboro Airport is fenced in preparation for a New Jersey Transit project in cooperation with Marlboro and the county. They are testing self-driving vehicles to solve the first mile, last mile transportation problem. The town will continue to update as the project progresses, and you'll get that via email. The tax rate for the property bill, tax bills have been received from the state, and the annual tax bill will be coming in the mail soon. Current property tax information is available now to view and pay online. The grace period is extended to August 22nd, but interest for payment received after the 22nd will be calculated back to August 1st. There's more on that on the town website. The new national 3-digit suicide hotline is in effect. It's 988, and you will receive caring, compassionate care for mental health, suicide, or substance abuse crisis for you or for anyone else if you dial 988. And if you are considering purchasing an electric vehicle, note that there are incentive programs through the state, federal, and JCP&L, but if you do and you wish to install an electric charging station at your home, the building department does remind you that the town permits are required, as it is like for any other electrical work that you would do in your home, so please don't forget that. And if you do want this information sent to you via email, you can register on the town website at marlboro-nj.gov.
Thank you so much, and that number 988 is very important for those in need. So I applaud you to, just have access to it. And okay, so Jess, well, actually, Aldo, anything on the NJSBA?
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have anything on the PTO and the PTA?
I do. For Abbott, the supply lists are already out. And please join the Abbott Parents Group on Facebook for the latest updates.
Thank you.
I do as well for Jill.
Oh, okay, could you please?
For Dugan, they said they're selling their school toolboxes. So
Nice.
make sure you look that up.
Beautiful. Yeah, supplies are coming out, ladies and gentlemen. Jess, anything from Scope, anything from CPEG?
Scope, just the ice cream truck on July 15th for ESY and pull out resource programs at both Abbott and the middle school. And CPAG has a meeting scheduled for August with admin. There are many open discussions within special services. Going forward for the 22-23 school year, meetings will be held on the last Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. virtually.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Jen, anything from Marlboro Educational Foundation?
Nope, nothing at this time.
Okay, well, thank you. So now we're going to move on to old business. Anyone have old business?
Sure, so I actually have a couple things.
Yes, Finn.
So we are scheduling a meeting for the first 2 weeks. It's going to be one of the days in the first 2 weeks of August to meet with the chairman of the Monmouth County Board of Elections to sit down and meet about getting polling out of our schools. Right now, I don't think we can do anything for the remainder of the school year because the primary is already here, but for the beginning of the new calendar year, we're going to look at exit strategies to get the polling out of the schools.
And we won't have any voting within the schools on that.
So what that will mean is, and the gentleman was very clear, we actually just spoke to him today. By law, we are not allowed to make changes to 2022. So what that means is, in August, we are going to amend our school calendar to close for Tuesday, November 8th. I think I see it in my head. Is that right? November 8th. Now, the second, in June, we are going to sit down to talk about how that could look differently. So that could be something where we wouldn't amend the calendar again. And in a conversation that Vin and I had today, I think what we just have to do is, Township will be there as well. We have to have alternate arrangements that would work and still fit the scope. There's a law in the books that they talked about today that districts, not Marlboro Township School District, but the districts that we have, you're really supposed to vote within 1,000 feet, supposed to. But if there's something that could work outside of that, that's still close, they made it seem that that could be something we could discuss. So the goal is to take all of the polling that we have in our schools and remove that to other areas of Marlboro so that moving forward, we will not have to worry about shutting our doors for an extra day, which obviously pushes the school calendar backward and has other considerations. Nothing we can do for Tuesday, November 8th, and I think just a few months ago, we talked about that we will never have kids again in our schools while there's polling. That will be a change. That will be a close, and we are going to strongly advocate for, the removal of these from our schools, period. I think it's honestly it's a very simple argument, and you can look to the concerns of the past to simply raise the concerns of the future, which is we don't want any random person just being able to walk into our buildings at any point in time and affecting, the staff and students that are most precious to us. So that's where we are, and we're hoping to have, thanks guys. We're hoping to have an answer, I'm hoping in August. But on the August agenda, we will see an amendment to the school calendar. And that'll push the year back by a day.
Thank you so much for taking care of it.
Yeah, no problem.
Christine?
Were you done, Vin?
No, I have one
Okay,
more
you go
thing.
do then.
So yesterday, we were able to get the information needed regarding security from the township. You all received an email yesterday regarding specifics. So what we learned was that for 8 hours per day at 8 schools, we would need coverage for about 16 officers. The township could not guarantee that they could meet that coverage requirement. So that would be a coverage problem where the township would ensure that they could not ensure that they could provide enough officers to cover that amount of time. In addition, the cost was a little over $1 million just to cover champions. So that would be a minimum of 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the afternoon. Because the way the police contract is written is it's a 4-hour minimum in the morning and a 4-hour minimum that you would have to pay for in the afternoon.
But I do know that the discussion will be carried into the committee for security and safety, because we had discussed it earlier, because that was a question that was brought up, and we will address it further as far as alternatives, because I think that's what it really comes down to.
No, that was actually, he just answered my question, because I was going to circle back from last conversation about the security and how much it would cost, so there you go. Thank you.
It's actually $1,008,000.
Yes.
How,
I'll know.
yeah, just how do you get to the $1.8 million? It's
Sure, so it's about $5,600 a day, and then you would have to times that by 180 days, because you need coverage for 180 school days, which would give you $1,008,000.
so for is Champions in every building? It's in an all-white building?
Champions is in every building, yep.
Yeah. I think this email went out too on July 25th that explained everything. Went yesterday, right?
Yeah, the math was in it, I think, right?
Yeah, math was in it, yep. So we have, it's basically the hourly rate of $87.50, $5,600, 5,600 times 180 is $1,008,000.
Is that the rate that we pay, that the district is paying? I thought we.
No, we actually get a heavily discounted rate for that.
That's what I thought.
We don't pay
we
for the whole
discussed
amount.
Previously.
Yeah.
So this is just going off of a straight book rate. They're not
This would
willing to.
be going off the straight negotiated contract for the police officers across the street for Marlboro.
And are they willing to extend the same service or the same, negotiated price that was given for the school days for extracurricular?
I mean, they've been pressing us about raising our rates right now to cover the actual school district. I don't know if they would be inclined to want to do that for a cheaper rate. And I guess the other problem would be the coverage issue of getting almost 16 officers to cover, 8 slots in the AM and 8 slots in the afternoon.
Right. Okay. And all right. I'm good. Well, we have. You said that this is on the security.
It will be discussed on the security and counseling committee.
Okay.
Safety, security, and counseling committee. Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Because we had spoken about it. Christina and Jen know about it. We're fully aware. We've had discussions.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a somewhat alternative plan to address this as best we can.
All right. Yeah,
in a feasible,
I was giving it some thought, between the last meeting and this one, and I had some ideas. So I don't should I just send them to you or
send it right to Jen.
to Jen? Okay. All right.
Yeah. But she'll send out a agenda before that.
Okay. Perfect.
Just do if it's in your head, just send it.
All right.
Yeah. Right, Jen? We're good? Okay. Okay, good. Any new business, ladies and gentlemen? I see none. So public comments again, ladies and gentlemen, second round. For those who wish to speak, should state their full name and place of residence. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Please use timer in the front to be mindful of your time. Members of the public should be respectful and avoid back and forth or debate with administration, professionals, or board members responding to the inquiry or comment. Again, no back and forth. Be respectful and civil. School board members and administration will withhold comments until after public comments. Vin, please.
Sure. First is Mrs. Carrie Jankowski.
Can you hear me okay? Good evening. I just had a quick question because I'm not well versed in how to read first reading public policies. So on policy, like for example, 8810, religious holidays abolished. So when I went to the first reading, it looks like it's the entire policy stricken. But what does that exactly mean? Does it get substituted with anything? I know religious holidays are on the calendar, but when I'm reading the actual policy, it's kind of also how it's navigated within the school. It talks about religious music. It talks about how teachers handle religious holidays. So if it's completely abolished, what does it exactly mean? I wasn't sure how to read that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Vin?
Sure, next up is Mr. Steve Friedman. Is it Friedman or Friedman? I'm sorry.
Hi, everybody. So I think a lot of my questions were just answered. I'm the guy who raised the security concerns at Champions. And I appreciate you guys doing the due diligence and getting a lot of that information. I just want to make sure that this is going to be a standing topic, and I want to understand also what the next steps are. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Vin?
So I have no more on my paper copy.
Okay.
It looks like no one is electronically signed up. Does anyone else like to speak?
Yes.
Hi, Val Mendez, Marlboro. Sorry, I'm reading off my phone because I was taking notes during the goal conversation. Just a few questions. You had measurement of effectiveness of mental health resources, which I think is fantastic. Just one thing is I brought up in a last meeting, will you include training for teachers in regards to what to pay attention to, how they can be of assistance? That's just one thought. You had another goal in there about data-driven instruction. Can you just confirm what kind of data you're talking about? What would that instruction look like? The other goal you had was noteworthy accomplishments. What does that include? What would you consider an accomplishment? You also mentioned parental involvement, which I think is great, but what kind of parental involvement did you mean through the accomplishments? And the other piece is you talked about aligning the curriculums to the state level potentially. I just want to know, what does that mean for certain curriculums that may not align to the standards of our district? Would it be painting our district in a corner if you actually put that as a goal on paper and then maybe we don't agree with something and then you want to make a change? I just put that in there because the goals should be specific, measurable, and attainable. And so I think it was specific, but you may want to add a little more to that, and also just measure of effectiveness of your goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? No? Okay, so let me allow us to hold on. Okay, administrators and board members will respond afterward. I'd like to make a motion to close public comments. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trish, any discussion? I see none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Would anyone from the board or the administration like to comment? Dr. Hibb?
Sure.
Thank you.
Hi, Carrie. How are you? So the reason why that policy is being abolished is because, and that's 8810, religious holidays, everything in that policy exists in policy 2270. So when sometimes they, Strauss asked me, well, eliminate a policy because it's actually included somewhere else. So it's basically eliminating the redundancy, but keeping all the same concepts that you were worried about or concerned about. Make sense? Okay. Yeah, sure. Mr. Freeman asked about next steps. So now that we have the price tag of Champions, that will go on to the next Safety, Security, and Counseling Committee agenda for discussion, just like Dr. Heller said. Do you want me to answer some of the other questions as well? So mental health training, we definitely do provide to staff.
Well, it says mental health staff will provide check-ins with students, teach. So are we gonna, should we add something to say that we're gonna offer, it's offerings, right?
I think we talked about this last time, and I believe it's mandated during Violence Awareness Week to have trainings for all staff to recognize the signs of at-risk students. So I think that's already in there.
Right, and also to add to that, thank you very much, Jess. The other thing is that they're required, every employee is gonna be required to take a, how would you describe that?
You have to do a
The
2-hour
yeah.
suicide
GCN.
awareness training as well.
Yeah. So every staff member goes through GCN, which is our online training modules. I think what you were asking was, you know, are we training our staff in what to look like for signs and symptoms of proper mental health and concerns, which we definitely do. As far as, what is data-driven, so when you really look at, when we talk about data-driven instruction, we're really talking specifically, not just math and ELA, but we are hyper-focused on math and ELA and the standards that we teach, and then making sure that there's quality instruction, that there's quality assessment, quality remediation, and quality reassessment. And we make sure that happens in every grade level, starting in kindergarten and going all the way through 8th grade. And we do a host of things as a district from the administrative lens, which would be to look at our opportunities for improvement at grade levels, hotbed standards, how can we provide professional development on standards that maybe our children aren't performing as well on that we would want them to. We watch that year after year. So we have a very in-depth data plan. So if you ever want to meet with Mr. Blown about that, he'd be happy to show you everything. It's very, right? It's very deep.
Robust.
It's robust. And it drills down into all of our standards. The noteworthy accomplishments, I think that refers to, is it the community interaction?
Yes.
And where it says the noteworthy or the community interaction. No, noteworthy accomplishments. I think the things that we do right now are the board briefs, email notifications, text notifications, newsletters, webinars, social media, and et cetera. And then I think the second part of that goal talked about improving community interaction by investigating new and innovative ways. So the communications committee, as one of their standing focuses, will look to improve the communications that we do that would then increase parental engagement and parental involvement.
And to point out what Christina had said with regard to the recommendation, for one of the things, as well as Jess.
Well, can I,
Yeah, please, go.
well, just, we focus on kids' accomplishments, and when you see it, not at every meeting, but every regular meeting, we do pull out student impact. So when I think of noteworthy, I think of student impact, but, maybe as part of the parental involvement is, if there's kids that are doing fun things like, to somehow be able to, have a chain of communication so that the administration is aware of it, so that we could highlight more students doing more, note things of accomplishment that are, wow, I'm not speaking well either tonight, am I?
That's actually on the agenda.
Noteworthy things that are happening that, maybe is a way that we could note it even more than what we are doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think I did a word salad there, I'm not sorry.
It is on the agenda, I believe, that I sent out yesterday.
For the communication?
For communications, correct.
So
that is in there to
Perfect.
Okay.
include.
Perfect.
I wrote down the bullet points. Could you write them down as well? Or? Okay, I can maybe add
I
those.
can go in and add more details
Yeah.
and talk about the two things that were talked about in the beginning, as well as specifically talking about increasing parental involvement.
And I'll send you
accomplishments.
what I wrote down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there any other? Or we're good?
No, I think that the last thing, the alignment to standards, I think, and I'm gonna guess that one was that policy? Or was it robust curricula? Robust and well-developed curricula for students. Not check.
State standard?
Is that in
Yeah, I don't.
the new one? Is it goal 2?
We didn't, no.
Will support and advance learning environments that emphasize meaningful and personalized learning, student empowerment, and student growth in both general education and special education classrooms. In order to achieve this goal, the MTPS Board of Education works to ensure the district is robust and well equipped for all students. In addition, meaningful use of data. Will communicate standards-based strengths and weaknesses for both students and parents and guardians. There's nothing else there. The only other thing that I see in here that could apply to that under, because it's not, right, it's not culture and climate, it's not in student achievement, it wouldn't be an infrastructure or community interaction, if you read the policy development, discuss, revise, and recommend adoption of district policies that are consistent with both federal and state laws and that are in compliance. So that was in regards to policy, not in curriculum. Yeah, I don't think it was the standards. If you want to come up and see it later, because I know we just read it, right? So it's probably hard to. Yeah, no worries. That one was not about the standards. It was more about. I'll read it one more time for you so you can hear it. The MTPS Board of Education will discuss, revise, and recommend adoption of district policies that are consistent with both federal and state laws and that are in compliance with state monitoring standards. That's what that was. Not about curriculum.
I apologize for the message. That was me.
It's all good.
Would anybody else like to speak? No, this was still in this. So we're going to go into executive. So be it resolved. Be it resolved in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, the Marlboro Township Board of Education shall conduct a closed executive session pursuant to the expectations prescribed by NJSA 10:4-12 for the purposes of discussing matter of attorney-client privilege and personnel matters. It is anticipated that the length of the time in the executive session will be 60 minutes. Yeah, I know. And action will not be taken in public after the executive session. Be it further resolved that the minutes of the executive session will be released when the need for confidentiality in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12 no longer applies. I am making a motion to go into executive session. Can I please have a second?
I'll second.
I heard 10,000 voices. Jen? I have Jen. Any discussion? I see none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All of those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Be safe. Enjoy the rest of the summer. And that's it. Peace out.